he? Oh, he's there. According to Senator Schumer's office, the city of Tonawanda is set to receive $1.6 million from the American Recovery Act. Is that your understanding too?
Yes and no. I mean, we won't see, I don't know how much the verbiage is going to change between today and tomorrow when they vote on it. And then on top of it, you know, what strings are going to be attached to the monies. So, you know, every city, town, village, hamlet, all across the United States are kind of waiting on that exact verbiage to see what it is that we can use it for and not for.
Right. Okay. So more to come on that. The chief's going to join us at 6 o'clock to talk about the SAFER grant as well as the volunteer company. So we'll wait for that. Mayor, I know you had a meeting with Mayor Pappas about Canal Fest.
Yeah, and just to bring everybody up to speed, they have not, according to Mayor Pappas, he has reached out numerous times to Canal Fest and nobody has gotten back to him. He has not met with anybody, nor has he talked with anybody, nor according to him has their side, anybody on their council met with Canal Fest. So I kind of told him, gave him the gist of what our meeting was. And he said that he's just waiting to hear from them, so.
Okay. All right. So they are proposing putting the kiddie rides as well as the, you know, not-for-profit food booths on the city side. And they're proposing putting the adult rides on North Tonawanda side. So with that, Jim, can we have a resolution for our next meeting?
For the 16th?
Yes,
For
the Canal Fest.
Well, they don't have an official, I mean, there is no official layout yet. I don't know what resolution would you be passing?
So are similar to what we passed in 19, where they have to submit the campus to the chiefs.
Okay.
well, we have usually there's two resolutions.
Right, the rides,
Fest and the rides is the other one.
right.
So
Right.
are we doing just the one?
We're gonna do just the one. They don't have anything finalized with the ride company yet.
And usually in the resolution, it talks about dollars. I don't know if that's been,
Yes, they're proposing $10,000.
It doesn't sound, NT isn't on board yet. Do we want to wait to hear what the other side is? I mean, what happens if we propose this and NT then says we're out?
Well, that's why we put in the resolution that they're gonna submit the plans to the chiefs and the council, same as they did in 19. My understanding is that Alderman Austin Tyler reached out to Rick Mayer to schedule a meeting.
I mean, if they're not on board, then it's not going to happen because we don't have the campus to support it. It's that simple.
Right, and then we just rescind the resolution.
Right.
Yeah, because if you remember in 19, NT wouldn't allow the rides, the big rides on their side, so.
Right. Right.
But you're also proposing they're just gonna pay the city 10 grand?
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah.
even though the campus is gonna be smaller, we're still gonna have the same amount of police and fire, correct?
We won't have the adult rides. They'll have the non-for-profits. He said this was a one-time $10,000 figure. Obviously they paid us significant more in 2019. They paid us
Yeah, I mean,
23,000.
We
my
still
only concern is we're not changing the amount of coverage that we're giving them, even though they're lowering their campus. I mean, we still have to supply, right? I mean, same amount of firemen, same amount of police, EMS.
Right.
I mean, personally, they should still keep paying the same amount that they've been paying.
They don't have that in their account.
I mean, it's just gonna come back to our taxpayers paying more money for Canal Fest. Out of pocket.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna have the number of police officers down there. We don't have the whole Midway, and we almost had we literally just about had the entire Canal Fest on our side. I mean, the NT didn't have much of anything. Honestly, that would draw any type of problems. We always burdened all the problems. That's why our overtime was ridiculous all the time. I don't know if it's gonna be that way this year. I mean, if it starts becoming a problem, I think we're gonna have to address it. But we're gonna have to try to roll with what we have. This
And
president.
the chief has the authority to shut it down at any point.
Yeah, but again, our taxpayers are gonna be picking up most of that bill. Because Tom, just like you said, most of the incidents happen on the city side. And I get that we're gonna have a much smaller campus for rides and stuff, but I
Right.
guess I'm just a
I mean,
little
I mean,
concerned.
I guess we gotta wait for to really understand. You gotta look at the campus, but if it's just kids rides, we're looking at more of a family oriented side versus, the young adults that come in are usually the troublemakers. They'll be on the other side. So for one cent, he can deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all contingent on approval of the campus size and where, any regulations that come down, any restrictions due to COVID. I think this is a good faith effort to get the ball rolling.
I mean, can't we just hold off until we get some more information?
What more information would you like?
Well, I want to make sure that NT's on board. I mean, I don't want, 10 grand is not going to pay for a ton of anything down there.
Okay, so, like I said, Alderman Tyler reached out to me last week, wanted the phone number for Rick Mayer to be in touch with Rick. I shared the phone number. He said that he was going to reach out to him, invite him to a council meeting. And that was that.
Or maybe they take it down 1 year. Do you know what I mean? They cut that down from the amount to, let's say, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday. Or even if you do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That wasn't the proposal that Rick gave us when he met with us on Tuesday.
And how much area are they looking for in Tonawanda? Is it basically from bridge to bridge along where the bank is? Or is it going to curve down Main Street? Because he even mentioned, I think he mentioned something about space at McDonald's parking lot or.
Yeah, which obviously that's Benderson. That's not city owned.
Well, he was looking at putting a stage in that parking lot for some sort of,
He wanted to do a movie night.
music or a movie night or something along those lines. They did mention the only thing on Main Street would be where the National Guard would have been. So I guess they are out.
They're not, right, they're not inviting the National Guard.
So they might put maybe some food vendors there maybe or something. I'm not really sure. Just that little space between like the towers probably, and the bridge in that little area. But mainly between Main and Seymour, I believe is.
Well, they've always had Main Street from the bridge to Broad.
Right,
I think they were looking to continue that.
right.
Oh, it was always blocked off at Adam.
Or Adam, sorry, not Broad.
And Rick Mayer mentioned it would be the full week. They have, events scaled down. You know, for instance, the bike cruise. He doesn't know what the restrictions would be, due to COVID. They talked about a drive-through option, and their goal was for non-for-profits to raise money. They did ask for 60 to 80 feet on Young, and we told them we couldn't do that.
Right, I remember that. But I don't remember talking about a dollar figure, or did I miss something?
Yeah, no, so after the meeting, he said the best he could do was 10,000. He would obviously have to give something more to North Tonawanda if they were putting all the adult rides on that side. So that's their proposal.
And last year we had 28,000 and we still came up short.
23.
Exactly.
23.
23.
I mean, 19, 20, we had 23 in the budget and we didn't get a dime. So.
And the before
Right.
times.
Right. Right.
And this year we budgeted 0. Assuming the Canal Fest wouldn't go off. So.
Right.
I'd rather give that money to the volunteer fire companies or something. If we didn't budget for it this year, what are we gonna do? Who's gonna lose out?
The non-for-profits.
We didn't budget revenue, the overtime stayed the same.
Right. So do we want to bring Rick back in?
You're not gonna tell me that the not-for-profits can't cross the bridge and set up a tent if NT decides to go with it. They can, I don't know. I'm just tired of getting hammered on this festival and sending everything to the overtime to the residents.
Well, why don't we ask the chief to come in next time and ask him if the campus as we know it is going to be, what does that do for our police response for Canal Fest? Does that decrease the amount of officers, you know? What does that change for us? And so this way everybody has a clear picture of what our costs are gonna be with the new campus, and then everybody can make, you know, their decision based on that information.
Jim, why don't we invite both chiefs and extend the invitation to Rick Mayer? For next Tuesday.
Okay, also, we do have the police reform committee as well. So
Right.
when would you like the chiefs and Rick Mayer to be?
Let's do 7:30.
Okay, okay, I will take care of that.
Thank you. Okay, and we don't think Chief Stewart's on yet, right?
I have a Chuck online.
I'm on.
There he is.
Hear me?
Oh, okay.
He doesn't want to show his video, but he's on.
I got my camera pointing at me.
Video? You gotta enable your video.
Oh, here, the start video.
Start.
Yes,
All right, I think we got it.
There you are. Look
there
at
you
that.
are, Chief.
All right.
Chief, are you available next Tuesday at 7:30 to talk about the Canal Fest?
Yeah, I just wrote that in my calendar. 7:30
Okay.
next Tuesday. All right.
Okay. All right, Chief, thanks for coming. I wanted to spend some time talking about the SAFER grant and the volunteer fire companies and their audits. So if you first want to kick it off about the SAFER grant.
Yeah, FEMA is offering another opportunity for a SAFER grant where they cover 100% over the 3 years. As you guys probably know, we have 2 firefighters that are part of their salaries being funded through the SAFER grant that we were successful with a couple of years ago. Traditionally, the FEMA SAFER covered 75% first year, 75% of salary second year, and then 35% on the third year. This opportunity, for whatever reason, they're offering to cover 3 years at 100% salary. This came up back last summer. They made a similar opportunity, and we tried for it, but we were turned down. It's again, they're offering the same type of grant. Our thought was, just like it was last summer when they opened it, was, if we added 4 people on the grant at no cost, that would we could schedule them in a way that would eliminate probably close to 90% of our overtime. What we would do is instead of 1 spell person, we'd have 2 spell persons in each platoon, and that would cover pretty much any vacancy that would come up. The PLs, the vacations. We wouldn't allow anybody off any more than what we're doing now with the 6-man platoon. So that would give us, again, like I said, 2 positions to cover any vacancy, which, like I mentioned, would eliminate almost all the overtime.
Dave, you're on mute. Dave, you're on mute.
You'd think you know by now, right? Did the SAFER grant say how many personnel it would cover? Is it 100% for 1 guy, 4 guys, 10 guys, or however many you put in the grant?
There's no limit. Lockport has put it in for 6 guys, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
It's you make your case, we write a narrative, we explain why we need them, and they give it thumbs up or thumbs down, and there's no specific number of personnel.
Okay.
It's for the needs of the department. What they want to hear is what our needs are and how they can fulfill them.
And how many retirements did you say you have?
We would, by the time the grant was over, 3 years, that would be 2024, going into 2025. I'm assuming if we were to apply and we were successful, we would start around January 1st of 22. So it's a 3-year grant. So as of 25, we would have 5 guys eligible for retirement. And that's an issue we need to think about too, because when the money's gone, and that's about a $400,000 difference or increase in our payroll. So the thought was, at that point, with those retirements or with those potential retirements, we'd go back to the original 26 guys through attrition. Of course, nothing is for sure. And if the retirements don't happen, we may have to look at layoffs to bring our salary budget back in the line where it's supposed to be. It's kind of one little gray area with the idea of this grant.
And just if you could refresh my, let's just say you get it for 3 to 5 guys wherever. Let's say 3 guys, and you hire 2. Can you sort of bank that 3rd one, or does it have to be in? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it possible to bank that 3rd salary until that third person comes on, if you only hired two?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Bank the salary?
So let's say, let's just say you write the grant for 5 guys, right? And you only end up hiring 2 or 3. Let's say you hire 3, but knowing that in a year you're going to need 2 more. Can you hold off on hiring
No.
those 2
No.
guys
No, you can't.
and
do
use
that.
the salary down the road, or do you have to take them?
No, you can't do that. You have to spend that within 6 months
Okay.
of being awarded. You have to hire these guys and start spending their money on their salaries right away.
So Chief, when do they plan on pursuing this grant?
You cut out, Don. Could you repeat?
Yep. When do you guys plan on pursuing that grant?
The deadline is
March
It's
12th,
by the 20,
March 12th is the
it's
deadline.
the 12th?
yeah, end of the week.
I knew it was coming up.
I'm assuming we need a verbal approval tonight, at least a verbal approval
Right, they
Yeah.
need a
to
commitment,
go ahead for the application at least.
right.
In favor of it. I mean, if we can do settlement and save, $140,000-$150,000 a year on overtime at that time, then we can work it through when retirements happen. Yeah, I think it's a win-win if we can grant.
I think it's going to be a long shot. We have, the purpose of the grant is to equip fire departments with enough personnel to satisfy the NFPA 1710 standard. And what that is it identifies that you have an adequate enough people on scene at your structure fires. Right now, every time I request funding, so the city's reimbursed for the 2 firefighters we have in a current SAFER, I have to answer the question, yes, we are meeting the 1710 requirements. So I don't know how that would play into a new grant. Given the time restraints, we're going to probably have to use the same narratives and information on the grant application that we issued last summer. But you never know. It's not a sure thing. If we are awarded the grant, it still has to be approved by the mayor and yourselves. They need written confirmation that everybody's on board, because has been fire departments that have applied for this type of grant in the past, but the elected officials were not on board with it. So ultimately, if we win it, there's no obligation. We would talk some more, I would assume, and we have a little time frame to do that. So I guess it wouldn't hurt to apply for it, because there's nothing binding at this point.
Chief, I support your recommendation.
When did we find out about this potential grant? Was it recently?
Oh, about a month ago or so. I don't know. I sent an email out to, both the council and the mayor, I don't know, several weeks ago, just saying it was there. It's a possibility. Let me know what you think. I mean, without your support, I'm not, going to go through it's quite a process, the application process. Amanda helped us last time with it. She did a lot of the work. And I have another firefighter here that helps with this, but it's so like I said, without prior approval or without your initial primary approval, I should say, I wouldn't go through the trouble of doing it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just wish that, we would have gotten a little bit more notice. I mean, I think it's much needed in the city of Tonawanda that we need to keep our residents safe. Considering the fire that we just had last week.
Okay, so, Chief, you have a verbal from Tom, Dawn, myself, Dave.
Okay,
Dave, are you good?
Good.
Okay, and Dave is good. Okay, can we switch gears to the volunteer fire?
sure.
And Tom, I'll actually turn it over to you to kick it off.
Okay, so, I've mentioned this before in previous meetings. Obviously I had concerns, and I'll be the first one to admit that I had no idea where the volunteer fire companies contracts were drafted out of. I had no idea. Now we're looking back on it, and that budget line was cut, $8,000 by the mayor right off his original proposal. And it was cut another 4,400 into contingency. Later on. Well, that takes you down to 14,000, which is less money than these fire companies got in 1992. So I think it's a bad idea to cut their funding. I don't see a reason why we're cutting their funding. The bills didn't go away because of COVID. They're still there. Yeah, they didn't have parade day, but you take out parade day and right, they're still above the 6,500, all of them. So we can't, say they didn't spend money on parade day, so we need to cut the budget.
Tim,
It's not even relevant.
can you please mute the chief? Okay. Okay, Tom, sorry, go ahead.
I think we need to send Sheehan over to the chief's office again.
I can still hear you guys. Are you supposed to mute me?
Yes, there's a feed coming from your computer that's,
Oh, okay.
so I just wanted you muted until Tom finished the question.
I need to start over.
I think he's got his microphone too high. Like, it's too high in volume.
Bill, you're talking, but you're muted.
Yeah. Sorry, my life. No, I think the mayor might be right. It sounds like he probably has the speaker up high enough and it's getting feedback, but he's muted. I'll mute myself and we'll go on to Tom.
Okay, so did anybody hear anything I said?
No.
Oh, good. Anyway, so again, I'll be the first one to admit that I had no idea where volunteer fire companies, those contracts are drafted out of in the budget. I had no idea they came out of professional services. I had no idea. So the fact that that was cut by 8,000 from the mayor originally in the original proposal, and then cut again by another 4,400 placed in contingency. That's a huge amount of money to cut from them. The mayor did say he didn't know it was coming out of there either. He's always in salary alliance. So clearly that 8,000 was an unintentional cut, to the volunteers. So my personal opinion is, these are monies. I mean, you break it down, it's $800 per firefighter. That's what we're paying for a year. Fire service, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, fire protection, $800 a guy or girl. You know what I mean? It's so, the amount of money, it's so worth its weight in gold, honestly. just think we need to correct this.
I think we need to have more accurate accounting for what they spend it on. To be, basically what they turned into us was a napkin with a couple of, expenditures on it, which I get. They probably weren't, looking for an accountant or whatever. I think it's a good idea to give it to them. But I would like to see more accurate and concise accounting for what, it's spent on. And like I said last year, when we talked about this, if they can give us an accurate accounting of what it's being spent on, that line may need to increase significantly. But we don't know, because we don't know how much the insurance is. We don't know how much the X, Y's, and Z's are. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm in favor of giving them the money. I just would like a caveat to come with it that we have accurate accounting as to where and what it's spent on, so that, like I said, in the event that they do need more, then we can make a good case for it. So that's where I'm coming from.
Again, I
Did
mean,
we ever get the union hook and ladder? Audit?
I didn't see it.
I have not received anything from the clerk's office. Just
They're all relatively the same. I
the
mean,
other three companies all submitted.
Okay,
their expenditures are all relatively the same. They're nothing really too extreme compared to the others. I mean, these are the basics. Again, National Hose, which is this one, their budget's way beyond this. But this is a breakdown of the everyday business, business stuff that they would do every year consistently. Above and beyond that, if they don't raise the money themselves, they don't do it.
And consistently, they've received the 6,500, correct?
Yes. I believe the last 3 years at least.
Okay.
It's in the resolution. It's the original resolution that the chief put forth, all the breakdown of the salary increases or the stipend increase every year.
Okay.
As far as Davis, as far as having an accurate account of what they do, I gotta be honest with you, you are paying a fire company to give you fire service. And that's what the contract says. All maintenance and basically, protecting the city. I mean, that's what you're paying for. What you use the money
I
for
understand.
really is not
I'm
relevant.
a volunteer as well. But what I'm saying is, next year when they come to us and say, "Oh, we need $10,000," what for? A
I
Super
agree.
Bowl party,
Now,
or
No,
have your
I
costs gone
understand.
up? We need to see what we're spending it on.
I
So, we can add to the
understand, but
resolution.
that's, if they were to do that, that's something that they're gonna have to pitch and they're gonna have to justify it. They haven't asked for a raise in 4 years. Last raise that they got was because of the hall insurance, because it was required by the city and it was, kept skyrocketing. So he just balanced it out. But yeah, if they're gonna want more money, they're gonna have to justify the need for more money, no question.
Yes.
We
And that's
can,
what I
we can add to the resolution that, annually they submit, an expense report or something to that effect. I think we have to tread lightly on that, though. I know the last time
These
we
are all
asked for
separate
one.
corporations. They all have IDs and, all not-for-profit identification. They're all separate.
They all file 990s. They can just turn in a copy of their 990. That'd be fine. They've
Oh,
been doing
okay.
that for years.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Bill. That'll work. Now, while we're on this subject, Councilman Rautenstrau couldn't make it today, but he did have a question relative to the expenditures. On the expenditures, there's a cost for utilities. Tom, do you know?
Phone cable.
Phone and cable.
Right.
So because we have that agreement with Spectrum where we have cable services at our city-owned buildings. That's not applicable in this case?
Not internet. Not actual cable TV, it's internet.
Okay. Okay,
Yes, the cable comes from, it's a building, the whole building is fed with the same cable service.
okay,
That is correct.
okay.
Other questions?
So,
I'm in
Dave,
favor.
I agree that this one's kind of bad. I'll admit it. But, I think they may have done it, quickly for us. So, and again, we don't have email ladders, but
right. So Tom, and the chief, your understanding is that the volunteer companies are looking for 6,500.
Yeah, that's what they were planning on receiving,
Okay,
according to their budgets.
okay. And we had, now correct me if I'm wrong, we had received something, and Mayor, chime in, that says there was some agreement for 2,500 or something. Did something? Is that an oversight, or?
I have no recollection of 2,500.
Was it 3 grand or?
the chief put forth the 6,500 first. Then he was contacted by the mayor's office, I believe, and said that there's no money, enough money in that line to cover that. So he rewrote the resolution for what the mayor's office told him to rewrite it for. I think 3,200.
Okay.
It's probably not even enough. 30, I think it's 3,800 actually.
Okay, okay. I know there
I
was.
mean, I can look it up.
Okay,
35, it's a total of 14,000.
35, there you go. See, that's why you're the treasurer, Bill.
so Bill, do we have the funds for the 6,500?
Again, the contracts are the contracts, and then the chief finds it in his budget line. So in the fact that his building services, professional service budget line is 14, and that's where he normally took the funds from. The question then becomes, does the chief have a different line that he has additional funds in that he wants to use, or does the chief want to ask the council to reverse the contingency change and put money back on that line? Those are the two options. So the chief could fund this out of his budget without asking the council to find that. But if the chief thinks that his budget lines are all tight already, it's the chief's prerogative to ask for that money to be put back on the line.
So the chief, you're asking the council to put the money back on the line, on that line, correct?
That's correct. I don't have that much altogether in the other lines.
I believe that was put in the contingency budget. Am I
Right.
correct in saying that?
Yes.
4,400, I believe, was taken out of the input in contingency.
Get the beef thing. So 4,400?
That's what I believe was put into contingency, yes. But there was an original deduction of 8,000 from the 26. We're out of the gate from the mayor's proposal. Again, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know. We've never had a discussion on this, but it wasn't caught until later.
Okay.
I have one quick question. I don't know if you can answer it or if Chief can, but looking at National Hose, can somebody explain to me salaries?
Yeah, they give a small stipend to their their treasurer and their recording secretary. They handle all the books. It's not a lot. I mean, you see the numbers. It's like
Right.
4 people at that salary for the year.
Now, the other two, because I don't know what Union Hose does, the other two do not do that?
No, I think
National
our
Hose
salaries
is
in
the
the other
only
ones. Salaries in the one, I don't know. Officer stipends and Delaware's.
Officer stipends, yes,
Okay, 1,200?
1,200.
Yeah, it's a normal practice for them. A lot of work, you know, I mean, they're already volunteering their time and everything else, so they give them a little bit of a, you know, stipend to help them. Not getting rich off it, put it that way. That's for sure.
And then on their office supplies or secretary supplies, do we know what they're using? Is that for like copy paper? Is that like to use the
Newsletters and mailings.
copier or,
Newsletters and mailings typically.
okay. So their mailings and everything are in there, okay.
Okay. Dawn, Dave? Are you in agreement with the 6,500? Dave's nodding yes.
Absolutely.
Dawn's nodding yes. Bill, can you prepare that resolution for our next meeting? Or get with Jim on that?
I can reverse the contingency that was taken out. If there is additional funding, if you want to send me guidance on where you want me to grab that from, I don't want to pick and choose, but
Okay,
contingency can come from somewhere else, so.
okay. Okay,
So just to let you know, so basically it's 26 grand. We only budgeted 14. So you gotta come up with 12 grand. 4,400 of that 12 grand was put into contingency.
correct.
Out of the 12 grand, so you're down to 7,800. 7,800. 40, or I'm sorry, whatever it is.
See, I don't feel so bad here.
You're on the right track, Jim. So what we have to find the entire amount, of which we know part of it was put into contingency, the rest we have to find. Either in the other, you know, you still have a much larger contingency sitting there. You can take it from there, you can get it from a different line. Or we can research that. Just give me some ideas of where you think, and then we'll go from there.
Right, so you need 7,600 taken from somewhere.
I'm proposing we take it all out of contingency.
I agree with that.
Dave, Dawn,
Yeah, I mean, we
Okay.
have no choice.
okay, well, there's your answer. And Jim. All right, Chief, anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, we muted you.
Chief, unmute yourself.
No, you have to unmute yourself.
How about now?
Okay, we're good.
Okay, my microphone is green. Yeah, this has come up, you know, over the years quite often. Back in 2012, the council at the time had the same concerns. And at that time, I met with the four companies of representatives to address that situation. And I asked them to provide me with specific costs that they had, the annual costs that they needed to pay for each year. And with that, I drafted a letter. I still have that. I'm going to send a copy to each of you and the mayor's office. I think it was better written than what, like Councilman Mylum mentioned. I saw some of those handwritten notes. I think this the letter I drafted is a little bit more clear. For instance, it does have the amounts that they would have to use for a stipend for the treasurers in the different companies. Dawn just asked about that. So let me scan this and I'll email it to everybody and you can take a look at it. Of course, that was from 2012. I would think the insurance costs and maybe a few of the other costs that are listed here may have to be adjusted. But I think it's pretty clear, what they're spending the city's amount of funding on.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thanks, Chief.
Chief.
All right, and then last but not least, the Police Reform Committee. There was the email that we had received. The Police Reform Committee would like to meet with the council at our next meeting for about 20 minutes, I think the request was.
Mhm.
That is correct,
Okay.
Madam President.
We have to adopt a resolution by April 1st for the governor's executive order. I know the proposed resolution says they recommend hiring of 4 police officers. We haven't budgeted for that, correct, Bill?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay. So, Jim, can you work with the chairperson of the Police Reform Committee and Chuck to take a look at the resolution and see what we can do to modify that so we can adopt some resolution by April 1st? And then if we can invite the Police Reform Committee to our next meeting at 6:15.
Okay. Also, I'll reach out to Mike just to see if we can, like you said, modify that resolution that was given to us to just say that we're accepting their recommendations and something more general, not saying,
Further reviewing.
oh, well, you gotta adopt something, but you're not done, you're not tying yourself to all the recommendations.
I
don't
mean,
know.
we obviously have to talk about the cost.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to know why they're recommending 4 police officers. Or more police officers.
I don't know. I'm hoping, they'll explain that during the PowerPoint. And I think maybe after we hear from the Police Reform Committee, our police liaison, Councilmember Mylum, schedules a meeting with Chief Strasburg to talk about that. Everybody good with that? Okay. All right.
What time do you want to meet with there's probably either 2 or 3 members from the Police Reform Committee that wants to go over items with the council during the informal session.
6:15 will work.
Okay.
And then the other thing I just want to bring to your attention is last week, Councilmember Newman, Mayor Davis, and I met with the Senior Citizens Committee. They gave a list of recommendations. Jim, the committee is going to forward the recommendations to you. You
Okay,
can-
I have not received anything as of yet.
Okay. So that you can send it off to everybody. They will not be presenting to the council by April 1st, but they have given their recommendations. And with that said, I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel of a particular person. Do I have a second?
I'll second it,
second.
Madam President.
Second by Ms. Camerdaner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to executive at
6:50.
6:50 PM. I'm gonna stop the recording and then place the one individual. I don't know who this desktop person is. I'm gonna put them in the waiting room.
Okay.
Is desktop still here?
The desktop person dropped off, whoever that was.
I
Weekly.
think that was chief.
Who?
I think that was the chief.
I don't think it
No,
was.
Chief was Chuck.
Was it? Okay.
All right, anything else for tonight?
Nope. I got nothing.
Oh, I do.
Okay,
So we're going for, out of the Tonawanda funds, the million that was set aside, improvements to, the playground and the bathrooms up at Vets Park. Meeting with, Mandy and Joe, and Nate, the grant guy. He was in on some of the conversations. Chuck, Brian, and Jason, we all feel that this fits into the parameters of what it is that they're looking for from grants, from this grant, other than some other things. So one of the things we discussed is, playgrounds might, the possibility of going to more of a natural playground, and make it more of a learning center up there, adding on to what's currently up there. So I'll have a resolution for you guys for the next meeting, because the deadline is the 26th.
perfect.
And then we won't hear anything until November, whether or not we got it.
Okay,
And Jenna, one other thing, I did send everyone the procurement policy from the policy manual with regards to the IT services. And so we would have to, in accordance with the policy, we would have to solicit at least a couple other
Three.
bids on that.
3 bids.
So,
Okay, perfect. We can talk about that at our next meeting. I know Sean wanted to kind of kickstart the IT committee again. So it might be something we want to talk about too. So, all right. Anything else?
I just wanted to thank everybody on behalf of the fire companies. I'm sure they're gonna, greatly appreciate your efforts.
Yes. All right, everybody. And warmer weather seems to be around the corner, so have a great night. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Minister Newman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Hi,
Aye.
guys. Stay safe.
Right. Thanks, Bill.
okay.
Might head down there.
You might want to take an escort.
Probably.